What's happening, guys? What we're going to talk about today is potential ways to increase muscle protein synthesis the same as if you were a meat eater, even if you're not. If you're a vegan, vegetarian, or anybody who doesn't get a lot of leucine in their diet. Alright guys, so before I get into this video, I want to get this out there fast. I am not a vegan. I don't live a vegan lifestyle. I'm not a vegetarian. I don't know a lot about it. I'm not claiming to be a vegan expert. So if you're finding this video and thinking you're going to get like the vegan king, you're talking to the wrong guy. But with that being said, I do believe I have a way that can really help you maximize muscle protein synthesis and get better gains and keep more muscle in a dieting phase, even if you don't eat a lot of meat or foods that are high in leucine. And I say high in leucine because we know that leucine is a primary amino acid responsible for building muscle. It is absolutely critical, okay? Now, I'm not saying you can't build muscle on a vegan diet. I'm not saying you can't build muscle and sustain muscle without meats and without high leucine. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's probably not very optimal. I think it's pretty clear in the evidence that it's not as optimal if you're not getting a lot of leucine. Now, with that being said, is there a way that we can make sure that we're still getting that same anabolic response even without foods that are high in leucine? And that's what I want to talk about, because I just kind of had this idea. I was watching one of my buddies, Paul's video about BCAAs and talking about how, you know, the leucine content and all this stuff matters. And I just kind of got to thinking about, you know, what about people who don't get a lot of leucine in their diet? What about vegans who don't eat much meat and dairy and things like this that are usually going to have your high leucine content? And I thought, well, if they're missing the leucine, what if they just supplemented with BCAAs while they're eating their protein meals from other sources like soy and stuff? What would that give you the same anabolic response? So I kind of searched on the internet, went through PubMed and stuff and tried to see what I could find. Wasn't getting a whole lot of clarity. So what do? Well, when your buddy is with Layne Norton, you talk to Layne Norton about it and say, hey, have you seen anything like this? I immediately had to put my foot in my mouth because he said, yeah, absolutely, I've seen something like this. I did research on it. Whoops, shame on me. I should have known this. But anyway, what this study did was it took whey protein, eggs, and protein from soy and wheat, and then it compared them in basically increases in muscle protein synthesis from those meals, okay? It also took wheat and soy and matched the leucine content of the whey and eggs and matched those up to see if that would make a difference or not, all right? So obviously, not surprisingly, they found that the whey protein in the egg had much better increases in muscle protein synthesis than the wheat and soy did. This study was done in rats, by the way. And what they also found, though, was when they supplemented and matched the leucine content in the wheat protein and the soy protein to what they were getting from like the whey, it had the same anabolic response. So it really does appear, like I was saying, that the leucine plays a very critical role. And even if you just supplement leucine with a different protein, that seems to be enough to give you that increase in muscle protein synthesis that you would otherwise be missing out on if you were not getting the leucine in. So if you're a vegan or a vegetarian, someone who's not getting a lot of leucine because you don't eat eggs, you don't eat you know, meats and dairy and all the stuff that typically has high leucine content, you can supplement with BCAAs during these meals, and that will potentially still give you that same anabolic response that you would get. So that's a really good option in my mind. It makes sense to me. Now, I'm not guaranteeing that it will work just as well, but I would really strongly recommend going down this path if you can afford the BCAAs and you're really, you know, if you're concerned about muscle, building muscle, maintaining muscle, and all that type of stuff, then why the heck not? Now, with that being said, I do want to say this because one thing that people don't seem to understand is BCAAs do have calories, so you have to keep this in mind. Now, I know your label says 0 calories, but there are. And I'm not 100% sure on this, but I believe the reason that there's a loophole with the calories is because the FDA doesn't look at individual amino acids as calories, only proteins, binding proteins, and since they're individual amino acids, they are considered non-caloric. However, BCAAs do have calories, just like a protein would, so it's 4 calories per gram. So usually a scoop of BCAAs is going to have 6 grams, right? So that would be 6 times 4 is 24. So not a big deal, not a lot of calories, but if you're taking 5 or 6 scoops of this stuff a day, now you're starting to add up. Now you're starting to talk about 100, 125, almost 150 calories that wouldn't be accounted for. So you might want to start tracking it that way if you do track and you keep track of that stuff. However, at the same time, as long as you do it the same way every single day, it really doesn't matter how you track it because you're going to be consistent, and that's what matters the most. But just something else to keep in mind. All right, there you have it. If you are vegan, if you're vegetarian, if you're someone who doesn't get a lot of leucine content in their foods, this might be a good way to increase your muscle protein synthesis. Supplement with BCAAs with your meals containing protein, and hopefully it'll work just as well. All right, that's all I got. Talk to you guys later.
I'm addicted to the love that you're giving. Every minute, every day I've been craving.